everyone, welcome back. Today we're asking a serious question. Should LGBTQ plus topics be a part of school curriculums?
It's been a debate that's been growing louder. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the reasons against including LGBTQ plus topics in school and why some believe it's going to be left out of the classroom.
To be clear, this isn't about disrespect. It's about the role of education. Schools should focus on more core academic subjects like math, science, reading, not controversial or personal topics that spark division.
LGBTQ plus topics are typically sensitive, often tied to personal beliefs, culture, and or religion. For many families, teaching them in school feels like pushing an agenda instead of promoting learning.
Let's start with cultural and religious beliefs. Across the world, and even in one country, families have very different views about gender and sexuality.
Some religions and culture teach specific values about marriage, gender roles, and identity. These views are just opinions. They're part of how people live their daily lives.
So, when schools begin teaching LGBTQ plus topics as if they are unnecessary, universally accepted truths, it can come off as disrespecting those beliefs.
According to a 2019 Pew Research Center study, many global communities still hold traditional views on sexuality and gender roles, especially in religious households.
Education should respect that diversity, not challenge it with ideas that contradict with what families teach at home.
The second big issue is parental rights. Parents have a fundamental right to decide what their kids learn, especially when it involves personal values.
LGBTQ plus topics are not just academic content. They deal with identity, worldview, and even morality. These aren't just facts to members. They shape how a person sees themselves and others.
When schools include these topics without informing or consulting the parents, it feels like an overstep, like the school is trying to take over something that should be happening at home.
Many parents prefer to talk about these issues themselves in a way that fits their family's beliefs, maturity levels, and timing.
They're not saying, don't talk about respect. They're saying, let us decide on how and when to have these types of conversations.
Now, let's talk about emotional well-being. LGBTQ plus topics can be emotionally heavy, not just for LGBTQ plus students, but also for others who might feel uncomfortable or distressed by the discussions.
For example, students who come with conservative backgrounds may feel pressured, shamed, or even anxious when asked to engage with ideas they're not ready for or they don't agree with.
And for students who have experienced trauma, whether related to family, gender, or bullying, these topics can become emotional triggers.
The classroom is supposed to be a safe space for learning, but when students feel like they're being forced, pressured, difficult, or upsetting discussions, the space isn't safe anymore.
So, it's not just about inclusion for one group, it's about protecting all students from emotional discomfort or stress.
So let's take a step back. What is school really for? Most people agree to prepare students with knowledge and skills for life, such as reading, writing, math, science, and critical thinking.
Introducing different personal and divisive topics like LGBTQ plus issues can shift focus away from those academic goals.
That doesn't mean we ignore LGBTQ plus people or treat anyone unfairly. It just means that conversations better handled by families, where there's room for context, sensitivity, and belief differences.
It's about keeping schools neutral and focused, not turning them into space for social or political messaging.
Now, we understand the other side. Some say teaching LGBTQ plus topics in school reduces bullying or promotes acceptance.
But inclusion doesn't require full lessons on gender and sexuality. You can teach kindness, respect, and empathy without going into personal identity topics.
We can support respect, just without forcing beliefs that not everybody shares.
So, what's the bottom line here? Including LGBTQ plus topics in schools' curriculums might seem helpful to some, but it risks clashing with family's values, emotional boundaries, and the true purpose of education.
Schools should focus on academics, reading, writing, problem solving, and when it comes to sensitive topics like DBQ plus, let families take the lead.
As author of and psychologist of As author and psychologist Dr. Erica puts it, parents are the first and most important teachers of emotional and moral development.
So let's give them the space to do that without turning classroom into battlegrounds for bullying.
So, what do you think? Should LGBTQ plus topics be in the school curriculums, or should that stay in a family matter?
That is all for our speech today. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.